Deadpool and Wolverine.
The end of an era.
Absolutely. Genius.
Oh,
Phenomenal.
yeah.
So funny. One of the greatest opening sequences of all time. The decision
Mixed
to
with
set
the
it
dancing.
to bye was phenomenal. We
got
get
one
the
on
fantastic
stage.
car. Have you seen the picture that has come out of it?
Well, there's the video of it going over the top of the stage.
Stunning.
Oh,
So beautiful. Which is the danger
yeah.
of our DJ is doing. And this is the balancing act.
Yeah, at the moment they're on the edge of like either this is going to make for a great twist and actually make for a great film and give us a great Doom long term, or it's going to go down as damn, MCU really did need that soft reboot.
Hello and welcome to episode 125 of Cutscene Combos. We have got a very busy episode this week. We have got our character profile on the one and only Hughie Campbell of the boys. We have got our review of Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes. We have got our review of the first 5 episodes of Batman the Caped Crusader. We will be reacting to our predictions and other news from San Diego Comic-Con 2024. As always, we have our wider Nerd News Network. But before all that good stuff, horizontal, how has your week been?
It's been hot. I like it warm, but I don't like it this warm.
It's grossly warm.
I think this has been the warmest week so far this summer for us in the UK.
It must have been.
Or at least the most humid or something. It's been a bit warm over here, which was a great choice for me to then work on my parents' bathroom. Unfortunately, it timed with them being away, and I'd said, well, I'll do it while you're away, so then it's less hassle. Yeah. So I had grouting to remove and redo, painting to do. Still got a bit more to do tomorrow. I've got to do all the sealant, which is always fun doing that. Yeah. So yeah, I've been working in the heat doing that. Also, I got rid of the old Horry and we've got nice fresh Horry back. Yeah. I don't look homeless anymore. It's amazing what a fresh trim can do for your mental health.
Return of the hipster Horry.
Yeah. And I'm on my iced coffees because it's warm.
No, that's based, to be fair. I'm drinking iced coffees this week as well.
But yeah, so that's been my week. Just between working on that stuff, going to go to the barbers, and then it's just kind of been went to see Deadpool, obviously, which we'll be talking about, catching up on doing gaming and whatnot, playing some extra fine, played a bit of Rust over the weekend. What else? Oh, I'm back on TFT. There's a new.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a new set out, and it's always a nice casual game to play. So, yeah, that's been my week. Nice and hot. How's your week off been?
Yeah, it was good. So I was at work on Friday before heading off on holiday. Came home, packed. I always leave so much time for packing in the sense of I was like, right, I'm going to get in. I need to not distract me because I need to make sure I'm all packed for our 4 days away. It took me 5 minutes. I am an insanely good packer, and in my head, when I know I need to pack, so I've left it a little bit late. In my head during the day, I'm like, right, I'm going to pack that, and that, and that. And then I get in, I throw it all in a bag. I do a quick one trying to make sure I've not missed anything obvious. Done. So then I got to chill for a few hours, which was lovely. Went out to see Deadpool and Wolverine, which was an experience. We'll discuss that later. Then up Saturday morning, had a big hearty breakfast, then drove for 3.5 hours to Cardiff.
Nice.
Very thankful for the quality of my car's AC.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. We arrived at our hotel. It was lovely, very central in Cardiff. We went out to, I think it was called Roxy Lanes on the Saturday night, which is kind of like similar kind of vibe to like a Boom Battle Bar. I don't know how many activities Boom has, but they had like pool tables and darts and karaoke and beer pong and loads of like little mini games that you could pay to do for a slot. So we went there. Wasn't a particularly late one because it was a long day of travel. Saturday we went out, did a lot of exploring around Cardiff. went to one of the biggest shopping centres I've ever experienced.
Oh.
So initially we went in like a far corner of it, we think, that seemed deserted.
Mm.
So we're like, oh, that's a shame. Clearly it's just like not recovered post-COVID or whatever. So we've come back out, we've wandered around the high street a little bit more, which was all just like cafes and stuff. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a shame, because when it's just cafes, it's kind of dead. And then we saw another shopping centre, so we thought, and we went in. And honestly, we almost got lost in there. It was so big. It was fucking huge. It was 2 stories. They had like a massive food court, like a Shake Shack and a Nando's and a TGI's and everything. They had a mini golf course, everything. It was crazy. So we spent most of the day in there looking around, doing some bits. Then that evening, we went out to NQ64, which was a brilliant time out. Yeah, really, really good time out. So that was fun. Then much of the same on Monday, kind of wandering around. We were up a little bit later because we got to bed a lot later on Sunday night. So a much more chill day, and it was starting to really get hot by then.
Monday was
and then it was out for our actual anniversary dinner, which was lovely. A much posher restaurant than we usually frequent, but it was very, very nice. And then it was drive home Tuesday. Then it's just been like a whirlwind since then. I'm like, well, where have the last 2 days gone? But we're all caught up. We are here. And we are back and raring to go. So let's get into it with our character profile on Hughie Campbell. As we've been doing a lot of the boys' character profiles.
We have.
So I thought, what better time now than to do a character profile on Hughie? So, Hugh Campbell, aka Wee Hughie, first appeared in The Boys #1, October 2006. Having grown up in rural Scotland, Hughie was quite a normal Scottish lad. Despite this, his life had other ideas. Dealing with a giant tapeworm as a child was quite traumatic for him. He also experienced a pilot having a mental breakdown mid-flight. He didn't let any of this adversely affect him, however, and with his childhood friends he often played detective. And he actually developed some relatively useful skills that would aid him later in life. Even from a young age, Hughie disliked violence, and taking part in violence of any kind left him wrought with guilt. Hughie's life was very normal by his adulthood. He was in a happy relationship with Robin Mawhinney, when, while visiting a carnival together, she was killed during a fight between A-Train and another villainous soup. Having heard about this, Butcher decides to recruit Hughie into the boys, the covert CIA Black Ops team focused on managing soups. Before his first mission, Butcher secretly, and without permission, dosed Hughie with Compound V, granting Hughie super strength and durability. This would go on to be a recurring theme in their relationship. This resulted in Hughie accidentally killing a member of Teenage Kicks. This eats at Hughie as he struggled to rationalise this as anything other than murder. This righteous feeling is not one that would ever truly leave Hughie, and would in fact only grow over time as he became more and more disillusioned with Butcher's methods and the so-called big boys rules. Hughie disagreed with everything ending in violence. He had a great distaste for how willing and regularly Butcher used torture to extract information and fun. He also disliked how much other members of the team were willing to just shrug their shoulders and move on with it. While Hughie's feelings grew over time, especially as the violence grew, Hughie agreed with the overall objective of keeping soups in line, and he'd also developed close bonds with many members of the team. He'd also formed a new romantic relationship with Annie January, who he didn't know was also the superhero Starlight. However, in a truly evil and deplorable act, Butcher showed Hughie Annie's horrific induction into the Seven without the key context of the situation, causing Hughie to break things off with Annie, leaving him under Butcher's control again. Butcher takes his callous use of Hughie to another level during the soup coup of the US government. when he manipulates Hughie into murdering A-Train cold blood by showing him footage of A-Train laughing at Robin's death, and also A-Train and the Seven planning on hiring and subsequently abusing Starlight. This results in Hughie finally snapping and kicking A-Train's head clean from his body. In a cruel twist of fate, after Butcher snaps and starts eliminating anyone with V in their blood and killing the other members of the boys, it's left to Hughie, the one who had the largest distaste for violence, to kill Butcher and end all the violence once and for all. He eventually rekindled his relationship with Annie. They moved back to a quiet life in Scotland where they got married. Very different character from the boys. The only real consistent thing is kind of this everyman approach, and I'm not that comfortable with the violence. The rest is pretty out there. I'm sure this is common knowledge to anyone to be watching this, but in the comics, Hughie is modelled on Simon Pegg.
Right.
And they actually originally wanted Simon Pegg to play Hughie, but by the time they got anything kind of greenlit and ready to go, he'd aged out of the role.
Yeah.
Which is why Hughie Campbell becomes Hughie Campbell Jr. And Simon Pegg obviously plays his dad.
Yeah.
Which was an interesting twist. Obviously, Jack Quaid plays Hughie American, not as Scottish. It's all very similar changes to what we've seen with a lot of the other characters.
Yeah.
They've kept the raw concept of what that character's purpose is, but they've changed bits to make the coherent story they're trying to tell work better together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is Hughie Campbell of The Boys.
Very cool.
Right. Deadpool and Wolverine.
The end of an era.
Absolutely. So, we have been waiting on this film for a long time. I have feelings, I have thoughts, I have opinions. And I'm going to start off with wow. It was really good. You know how I feel about projects that get this big before they've even come out?
Yeah.
I was kind of the same. Obviously, it was before we were doing the podcast. I was kind of the same with No Way Home. I was worried it had got so big that it could never live up to our expectations.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I didn't realise it at the time. I had the cameo, the main. You can't even call them cameos because they were kind of surprise co-stars. Spoiled for me with San Diego Comic-Con on the Thursday night into Friday morning.
So I saw that thing on stage, and the only one I saw was Wesley Snipes as a name, and I was like, I'm not gonna read any more of that because I have a feeling that might spoil stuff. Because obviously I didn't know when I was going to see it at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see how if you read that, that spoiled a few things.
Yeah. Shout out Discussing Film because they uploaded it. They uploaded a minute before that as well, before anyone got mentioned, so that if you didn't want to know, you had time to get away. And they made it clear in their tweet, this contains spoilers, be careful. The tweet I saw initially didn't include it, so I was like, oh, these should be cool cameos, these don't matter. Oh well. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the film. But let's start with I'm not going to call them cameos because they're bigger than cameos. Let's talk about these surprise guest stars we had.
Yes.
So once they enter the void, obviously we knew Laura Kinney, X-23, was involved in the film.
Yeah.
And we meet the rest of her crew, her void crew.
Yeah.
Starters, the comedy in this scene, talking about failed projects in relation to the void, was brilliant. But also, the respect they were all treated with was brilliant.
Oh yeah, I don't feel like, obviously, for the purpose of this, we'll call them cameos because they're not the. But all the cameos and appearances from these characters, I don't think were ever used. They were never used in just a pop-in, jokey way, pop-out. They were all like you said, given their respect and had pretty valid reasons to be there for different things.
Exactly. The biggest shock by far was Wesley Snipes' appearance.
Mm.
Him and Ryan Reynolds have had a very public dislike for each other for 20 years.
Yeah. Do you want? So I'm now conflicted about that because I've seen a clip.
I saw this Wesley Snipes interview. I think he's talking out his ass.
He might be.
You'll never be able to convince me.
Do
Ryan Reynolds.
you know what I think it more is? There was definitely some feud there at the back in the day when it first ever kicked off. I just think it probably died off between them very quickly, and they were very mutual to each other. But obviously, media being media kind of drags it as it's like, oh, Ryan Reynolds hates Wesley Snipes, and they've probably just been mutually like happy with each other for a long time. And
yeah, but
yeah.
I never ever in a million. We discussed potential cameos that you might get in this film ages ago, and I'm pretty sure I said, even if I didn't say it while recording, at some point I said to someone, I know I did, the one person we know we won't see is Wesley Snipes, because no one. If anyone bet on that, they're a genius. They are clairvoyant. They
inside
can see the future.
knowledge.
Because, oh my god, that's the only one that got spoiled for me. That I'm really upset I didn't get to.
I mean,
experience completely raw.
Even though I'd read the name, like obviously I didn't know at what point he was gonna show up, and it's like I think it was like it definitely caught me off guard, even though I knew it was coming at some point. But like you say, I'm sure I'm tempted to say you even said last week on the pod that, oh, well, it won't be Wesley Snipes because they hate each other, even though that would be very cool. And then also, I feel like we were very focused on Fox potentials because we knew there was that link there with Hugh. And it's like, I wouldn't necessarily immediately think Blade as part of that. Like, I know Blade was part of that period, but it's like you always think Blade's just as like this kind of separate. Yeah.
So that was long before there was any kind of crossover between the R-rated stuff and the more kid-friendly stuff. So you don't naturally associate them with each other.
So, like, when they had... Who was it that came out first? It was Elektra.
We saw Julia Gardner's Elektra first, yeah.
She's there, and then you're like, okay, who's... Like, there's obviously going to be... And then it's like the thing of, oh, there's more of us. And then next second, Wesley Snipes just walks out, and you're like, excuse me? I love... the dig he made, whether it was, I don't think it was intentional to the current situation, because of when he makes the dig essentially of there will only ever be one Blade.
Oh no, that was very intentional.
See, that was I think it was,
and I can tell you that from Deadpool looking straight at the camera.
Well, yeah, it was intentional.
Very much that project's not going very smoothly.
Yeah, but you've got to think when this was probably written was before it got this bad with Blade. Like, maybe they were already having like the early, and it was a little dig, but I feel like it hit harder because it's developed even more.
It definitely could have hit harder. You've also got to remember, though, these films have the writers on set famously.
True.
That could have been something they're like, oh, we need something here. This is a good opportunity. Next up, let's talk about Channing Tatum finally
getting his dream.
Gambit.
Yeah.
I am so happy for Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
He handled this the way I wish Rock would have handled Black Adam. He was passionate about this project. He fought night and day for this project for years. He kind of thought it was never going to happen. And when he got given the chance, he respected the character and did it properly. Shout out to the writers for giving Channing the opportunity to live his dream. Shout out to him for doing such a good job. The costume fucks unbelievably hard.
Oh, yeah. So
the jokes about being born in the void, phenomenal.
I knew roughly. I'd heard like the things of him wanting to do it. I didn't quite know till after the fact how close he'd got a couple of times.
Yeah, he got really close a couple of times,
and it just got. And it's like, oh, that's unfortunate. So the fact that like the writers wanted it, and then obviously Ryan was probably made the call because he would have known.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he was in the similar spot with Deadpool until he leaked that footage.
He never officially said he did that. Though.
The closest he got officially is now he provided an assist.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's great, and I agree. Channing did a great job. The fact that he fully lent into the role, the suit looked amazing. I hope that when we do get an actual Gambit in MCU X-Men, it has a very similar suit and it stays true to it.
Yeah. So that's one thing that you mentioned there that I just want to grab. The entire premise of this film is giving people the ending they deserve so that you can move on. The amount of people who've seen this and gone, "Oh, we need Channing Tatum as the MCU's Gambit." It's like, no, you missed the whole point. The entire point was these people have pasts now. We're closing off their story with more respect because they didn't get the respect they deserved the first time round. But that's it; they're done. That was the whole point.
I think I also saw things of people being like, "Oh, why is Channing Tatum playing Gambit? Like, what a weird pick." And it's like, you have no idea what that man went
on the internet. Yeah,
you clearly weren't part of like the Fox era to know that man wanted it. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people that were like, "Oh my god, they got this person to play this character. I don't see how that's going to work going forward." And it's like, no, these people are probably never going to do these characters again.
Never again. And Julia Gardner getting redemption as Elektra was really nice as well.
Yeah.
The Ben Affleck Deadpool movie, I have a soft spot for it. I know it's not good, but I like it. The Elektra film was a much worse film. I don't have really any memories of it. I think I've only seen it once when I was much younger.
I don't know if I've seen it.
But I'm really glad that she got a happy ending as well with her character. Because she cared a lot about the playing Elektra as well, and she enjoyed it. I did enjoy. I won't. No, I don't know if you would have got this joke. When she was asked about Daredevil, how's Daredevil doing? She's like, he's died. He's like, oh, sorry, don't be. Are you aware that Julia Gardner and Ben Affleck were married?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Divorced. Yeah.
Very, very funny.
Yeah, it was. And now this is complete tangent to another point in the film. But speaking of divorce, could you believe that Hugh let Deadpool make the fucking divorce joke?
I couldn't believe it.
I saw in an interview, even Ryan was like, he was mentioning, like, he got a question of, like, how did you get all these things past Disney? And he was like, I don't know, they just kind of gave us free reign. We kept sending in scripts expecting pushback and they never gave it. And he's like, and I can't even believe Hugh let me make that one joke about him. And obviously I've seen that. I'm like, I know which one you mean.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Then let's talk about the other kind of serious cameo reference bit when he's going to find his Wolverine.
Yes.
So obviously he finds out he needs a new Wolverine because his Wolverine's dead. So he goes shopping.
Yeah.
First and foremost, comic accurate Wolverine was brilliantly genius.
It was, and I never want to hear someone say we need comic accurate.
The thing I will say is it definitely shows me that we do need a shorter Wolverine.
Yeah, but maybe not that short.
Maybe not 5'3".
Yeah, I can agree with that.
However.
Oh yeah,
brilliantly funny, and it is forever going to change my perception seeing an animated Wolverine in any context. Next up, the live action suit they made for the tan and yellow Hulk fight. Gorgeous.
Yeah, look good.
And I can't believe they teased us with a Hulk Wolverine fight and then cut away from it.
I really like how it was like, we got close up of him in the suit and then he's like claws come out and you can see in the reflection Hulk's there as the initial tease before Deadpool goes, isn't this when you fought, did you fight a Hulk? And then it's like, and I'm pretty sure it was the MCU, like,
it looked like Norton's Hulk.
Oh,
Ed Norton's Hulk.
I wasn't
it
sure.
It didn't look like Ruffalo.
I see. We didn't get long enough to look at it, but it'd be interesting to see which one
I also enjoyed Deadpool starting to give like a mock Loki speech. I am Marvel genius, you dull creature. Just get fucking batted away. Another very good one. Again, people have overreacted to him. We're gonna have to tell them to be quiet now in a minute. Cavill Wolverine, very very cool cameo.
Can we talk about how Marvel somehow gave him a better ending than DC did?
Yeah. And that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's an ending. Henry Cavill. Do you know what? I'm starting to feel like a Henry Cavill hater. Just because I'm having to protect so many roles that he would not do a good job of from him. You got people going like, oh, he should be Wolverine. No, the fuck he shouldn't.
No, he could be someone way better than Wolverine.
It's like, oh, he should be this character, and it's like, no, he shouldn't. Stop. You don't know what you're talking about. Bad internet. Bad internet. Was it cool to see it? Yes, absolutely. Do I ever want to see it again? No, the fuck I don't.
No,
What are we doing?
This is the thing. People have been constantly going on about, oh, what Henry Cavill needs to join the MCU. He'd be great in the MCU, and like throwing different roles at him to do. For him to then get to be like, for like the perfect specimen of a Wolverine from behind, and then two things: we get Deadpool making a joke about just a direct joke at how DC handled him, which I fucking loved.
Mm-hmm.
And then also we got to see him reload his guns, but this time it was, instead of reloading his fists, he did the same movement from Mission Impossible, but loaded his claws out.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved that he did that.
It was really, really cool. One tweet I saw that literally had me ready to, and I'm pretty sure I did tweet about it, was someone went, oh, we need a Henry Cavill Wolverine film directed by Zack Snyder ASAP.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Kevin
No.
Feige has the opportunity to do the craziest thing in the history of Marvel, Wolverine starring Henry Cavill, directed by Zack Snyder. I literally quote retweeted that and I went, if this happens, I will not be watching. And you can clip that, hold that safe. If that film gets announced, I might be done.
I don't even think Henry Cavill would want to play Wolverine. Knowing how passionate he usually is about the characters, nowhere have I seen him be like constantly raving about Wolverine. And I bet you there's a Marvel character that he does love and would be a much better fit for him.
Absolutely.
But also,
yeah,
Zack Snyder,
craziness.
can he please never come anywhere near the MCU?
Yeah, no, keep him a mile away. And then we had a couple of comic book references to Wolverine with the patches suit.
Yes, which we predicted was going to be.
I thought that was going to be Daniel Radcliffe or someone linked to the role. The other one that I thought was really cool was the Wolverine crucifix one. That's from a comic.
So when obviously he's there and there's all the skulls and he's on the X, I'm like, I've seen this comic panel.
Yeah.
Or, like, maybe just someone's been like, this is really cool, and I've seen it on the internet somewhere, but I had no fucking context as to where I've seen it. I just knew I'd seen it, and I was like,
I'm sending the image right now.
I was like, I know that's from a comic, so that seems very cool.
Yes, it was really, really cool to see it, and you're right. I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people have seen this before, but didn't really realize it because instantly a lot of people in the cinema were like, and it was like that intake of recognition, but not being sure. Some really, really cool decisions in there. I loved every second of that kind of controlled nostalgia crowd bait.
Yeah, and also like they did a really good job at mixing kind of things people have constantly asked about, like the high accurate. You've got comic references in a couple of places. You've got a Henry Cavill thing. You've got so many nods in different places, and that point of the film to do it there was such a smart way to handle all those things and fit them in.
Yeah, it's wild. The opening sequence.
I mean, you're forgetting another cameo.
Which one? Who?
Chris Evans.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even thought about that. I had been desperate for Chris Evans to appear as the Human Torch in this. I thought we were much more likely to get that than Captain America. I was a little bit disappointed when they were playing it like he was Captain America.
No, I think that was perfect.
I was like, oh, it's a bit boring there. And then he swore, and I was like, oh my god, it's Johnny Storm, let's fucking go! So good.
It was such a good reveal. And I love the part where Deadpool's like, oh my god, he's going to say the thing. He's going to say this thing. And he goes flame on, and you're like, oh shit.
Really, really cool. Obviously, the post-credit scene revealing that Johnny did in fact say all them things that got him killed. Very funny.
Yeah.
Hearing Chris Evans deliver them lines, really funny.
Yeah, it was such a good idea.
Enjoyed it a lot. So much. The film's great. The action is solid throughout.
Oh yeah, the fight scenes.
Really, really good.
Bet you really enjoyed that long end Deadpool fight.
Yes, I did. Apart from one bit, and this is the only bit of CGI in the entire film that let me down. When they jump out of the window at the bus, and you get like 15 seconds of a fully CGI Hugh Jackman.
Okay, so I didn't notice it then, but I think the same thing you saw is what I saw.
Oh, no, I saw it in the cinema.
No, as in like what I saw, where I saw a full CGI was when they first faced off in the void and Hugh Jackman crawled along the floor with his claws.
I didn't notice that as off, really, other than like it's weird seeing a human move that fast on the floor.
There was a split moment where I was like, that was a digital double. Because obviously to like get those movements in that speed, like it would have been too difficult to get it right as Hugh.
You know, the only bit of CGI where I was like, oh, that's not great looking, was as they've jumped out of the window at the end and Hugh's there, very animalistic. For like, and it's like the same like 5 seconds of footage played 3 times in a row, and I'm just like, oh, that's a bit obvious. But there's always going to be a couple. Other than that, it was pretty fucking good.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing: the fact that we only noticed 2 shows how good the rest of it was, because there's a fuck ton of CGI in there, and the fact that we haven't noticed any of it shows that it's all been done really well.
Exactly. What else is worth mentioning? Yeah, the opening sequence. Phenomenal. Everyone was like, oh my god, they're just going to ruin Logan. So they decided they were going to literally ruin Logan. But of course, they didn't actually ruin anything, and you're all a bunch of crybabies.
Yeah, this is the thing. They're like, in the interviews before, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to mess around with the end of Logan and how it ended. We're not going to ruin that. And they didn't. They didn't change anything of how it ended. They just did what Deadpool would do, which is go and dig up the body. And I love the fact that they had the adamantium skin. I was like, oh, he's just going to find a dead body. Didn't quite piece together in my head as he's like banging on it that like it'd be a full skeleton. And then he pulls it out, and I was just like, oh, they're really doing this. They're really like, don't give a shit.
Very, very funny. Using Hugh's
body, his bones.
Yeah, bones as a weapon in the fight. Genius. Phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
So funny. One of the greatest opening sequences of all time. The decision
Mixed with the dancing.
to bye was phenomenal.
The dance double who was doing the dance sequence. I forgot his name.
Phenomenal job.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
It was such a great opening. And then I would also say that we were both pretty right, as in the first 40 minutes of the film was what we had seen.
Yeah. Up until like the 25-minute mark, we were dead on with the, like when I'd like said, first 40 minutes are going to be this, and this. Up until like 25, 30 minutes, I was basically spot on. Just the 10 minutes after that was where it started to divert slightly because we got the team up in the void or whatever. But very, very cool. I greatly enjoyed for how much of the film Wolverine and Deadpool did not get along.
Yes.
That vile speech Wolverine gave Deadpool before the van fight was amazing. It was beautiful.
Laid into him.
Yeah.
Oh, all their fights between each other, like I feel like from the first one onward, it ramped up, and then the one in the van was just brutal. Yeah,
it was crazy. And then it cut into the next morning, and Deadpool's
all
tied
up.
Very funny. The heart that this film managed to portray and put across, I was so pleasantly surprised with. Like really, really surprised with.
The only thing I wish they'd done with their relationship, and this is just what I'd said, I think I've said this in a past episode when we talked about this film. I wish they'd done the thing from the game where Deadpool's trying to wake him up and he's just slapping him constantly. Yeah. Like I would have loved a moment where if he was knocked out and he was trying to wake him up, if he'd done that.
Yeah. The CGI for Cassandra Nova's fingers in the head thing.
I have a new
phenomenal.
Thing that grosses me out now. That finger mind fucking was
horrifically
something
brilliant.
I never needed to see. And like, it was so well done with it. Like, if you really watch, like, how the fact they went into detail of like, if it went through an eye, it like really pushed the eyelids out. Like, they really made it so the skin would move with the fingers, which just made it all the more gross.
Yeah, it was phenomenally well done. It made it so uncomfortable. It was a brilliant decision. Them saving the universe together, and I will be honest. I will be honest.
Okay.
I was surprised that they hadn't had Hughie shirtless yet. I was like, oh wow, is that a little bit of growth in the comic book industry? Has Hugh finally just got to the age where he's like, I don't want to do these dehydration scenes, man. They're insane. They're horrible. You've got to like not drink anything for 3 days. They're crazy. Why are we doing them? And then his shirt rips off. I'm like, oh my god, that might be the most shredded that man has ever been. What the fuck? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I was like, oh, they're just like, they're doing it properly. They let him have the suit. They've given him the suit. They're making it go all the way through. Like they've ripped the sleeves off because they had to let him have his guns out. But it was like, oh, this is like definitely a new era for Wolverine. And then the fact that there's no reason for his suit to explode there. Like no reason at all.
His mask stays on.
Yeah. And everyone's like, maybe he just had it fitted in the suit and just but yeah, like the fact that Deadpool just embodied what everyone's reaction was, which was, oh damn.
Yeah. Absolutely jacked. Insane. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, overall I was really, really impressed with the film. I think it was exactly what it needed to be. And I'm curious to see if that is truly Hugh done. I'm curious to see if that's Ryan done. He said he's not up for a Deadpool 4, but I could definitely see him being used in places.
I think, because I was thinking this at the end, the one with the way that the credits end, which we'll get to, but like the way their characters at the end all together, we know they're in the Fox timeline world, which has some questions for people now, like, because if Logan's dead in that world, that means it's after the events of Logan. And it's like, there's a bit of a weird, everyone has questions about how that timeline works now. But
yeah, the Fox timeline's always been a mess. I don't think we need to fix it. That's the beauty.
But yeah, I think there's no need for a Deadpool 4. The way they've ended it has been like a solid end for everyone involved. I think if they ever come back or if they join other MCU characters, it would be in Secret War. I think that's the only situation.
And I think that's the only time I'd want to see Hugh again.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. How many times can you have a great big send-off for your old characters?
Yeah, see, this thing, I don't think we get Hugh again. I think maybe we get Ryan again because he loves the character so much. Maybe he shows up in Secret Wars. And I'd actually quite like to see him show up and a new Wolverine and him be like, instantly the new Wolverine hates him and he's like, we haven't even met yet.
It would be an interesting one to see how they handle it. I think I completely agree. The only way we can handle cameos pre-MCU era now is one last time in Secret War.
Yeah, and I think it has to be specific characters.
Yeah, if you want to give Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Hugh, Toby, people like that, one last go, that is the end right then and there. Because I also believe that is absolutely incursion territory, and we're getting a soft reboot after that anyway. But at that point, I do literally need Marvel to go, thank you so much for everything you've done. We are never calling you again.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think my opinion is the characters we've had in this film shouldn't come back other than maybe Deadpool because he's like main central character. I think everyone else got their send-off, including, like, we haven't mentioned it, but a lot of the X-Men characters in The Void weren't played by the same actors, but it was obviously nods to their Fox, the characters that we saw in the Fox X-Men. with Toad, with
Pyro,
Pyro, Juggernaut. Yeah, like
well, that Juggernaut was supposed to be Vinnie Jones. He was asked. He said he wasn't up for it, which is why they had the Vinnie Jones suit. But
yeah,
he was like, I can't get in shape for that. I don't want to get in shape in that. Thank
which
you,
is
but no.
fair. But like,
Absolutely fine.
even though it wasn't the same, like it was a nod to those characters, and like all those characters got their send off. I think if we get anyone from the Fox era now, maybe it's like Ian McKellen or Patrick Stewart, like the characters that we haven't really had a proper goodbye to.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they come back in Secret War, but yeah, I think they should be very careful about who they bring for a goodbye in Secret War.
Exactly. But overall, it's up there. It's 8 or 9. Them end credits showing a lot of love for what came before.
Bro, the in credit little reel showing like behind the scenes, showing different things, all from that era, hit the feels, man. Like that felt. Say what you want, but like we all grew up in that era. That is our childhood. Those X-Men films were what came first. The Blade film, like there's a lot of love there. Even if the MCU has gone bigger and better and done an overall better job of continuity for that, it's still like without it we wouldn't have had the MCU.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the perfect goodbye.
And I think we also need to respect that Kevin was a part of them films.
Yeah, he was.
So he will have a lot of love for them as well, and he will know how important it was that them people get their send-off.
Did you notice, I saw someone point it out, I think it was in the opening credit sequence during that fight when it had like names on the bones and stuff. I think it was who was the executive producer she was for the original X-Men films, who Kevin was under.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he then left and joined Marvel. Disney and did Marvel. Yeah. He got her back on for this one. She was a producer for this. Almost to be like, so she could have her name on the last ever like Fox one, which is pretty cool. It
was indeed. Overall, I was incredibly happy with the film.
Yeah.
Lots of good fun, lots of good action.
I also liked how they, because we were worried how they were going to address the TVA because it seemed different. I liked the fact that it was like this splinter order, like hidden under things. They kind of explained
different department with a very aggressive leader.
Yeah. We got some more info as well on kind of how things are going to run going forward. Because for people that obviously haven't watched Loki, they wouldn't really necessarily understand that stuff. But we know it ended and it was like a tree, and it's like, oh, they're just letting all the timelines live. We now have an idea that anchor beings being a thing.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big thing to kind of add in. Just like the canon event from Spider-Verse.
Yep.
Which I think is a smart idea, and going further than this film now has opened up the discussion to a lot of people of who is the MCU's anchor being.
So there are 3 options that I'm willing to discuss. There are only 2 that I would accept.
I'm going to guess it's Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man.
No.
Oh.
The 3 to discuss are Iron Man, Wanda, and Doctor Strange.
Oh, Wanda's a shout. So I don't think it's Iron Man.
Yeah, following like the rules that they've kind of established with Hugh Jackman, the kind of joke would be, oh, Hugh Jackman was an anchor of the Fox universe, Iron Man was the anchor of the MCU. I see why people would think that. I disagree with that. I think the most logical answer is Doctor Strange or Wanda because of the nature of their powers and how powerful they are.
Yeah, I could see that. I just wondered about Captain America. So I had another wild call that maybe is a bit too wild. But Captain America, just because they've replaced him, there is a new Captain America now. So that mantle's kept going. I can see the WandaVision one. I don't agree with the Iron Man one because if we follow the rules of what was set, the main timeline should be dying. Yeah. It's been long enough.
They did say it takes thousands of years. Paradox did say, oh, it'll be dead in a couple thousand years, but that takes too long.
Yeah, but true. I feel like we should have got some. Yeah, So maybe it could be Iron Man. Do you know what could be a wild shout? Fury.
That'd be an interesting one.
Because considering he's like the center of all of the heroes.
Yeah. I think Strange and Wonder make the most sense, but it's definitely an interesting concept for them to have included, and it definitely won't have been done by accident.
No, and do you want to know? I bet they don't even have an answer for it yet.
No, they won't. They'll decide later down the line. But yeah, that is Deadpool and Wolverine. I enjoyed it a fuck ton.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's
move on to something that is very new.
Yes, literally only a few hours old as we're recording this.
Yeah, and because I'm off this week, you're getting half of the season covered this week. How exciting for you guys!
Do you know what's funny? Like when you first messaged me today, being like, "How many were watching?" I was like, "Well, Connor will finish work at this time," and I completely forgot you were off all week. So it like clicked, and then you mentioned you were streaming, and I was like, "Oh, well, we've got plenty of time to watch them then."
Yeah.
So we're doing episode 1 to 5.
What I will say before we get into our thoughts, rave reviews so far.
So I haven't had time to really look at much on Twitter and stuff, so I haven't seen how the reaction's been.
All I know is for a decent while it was at 100% on Rotten Tomato.
Nice.
I don't know if it still is, but it is definitely up there. Still, let me just double check. Batman Caped Crusader. Yeah, it's still at 100% on the critics.
Nice.
80% audience score.
Solid.
I mean, really like it.
Yeah, so there's 10 episodes. We watched the first 5. We'll do the next 5 next week. Yeah, first 5 episodes felt great.
The art style was nice. It's very clean.
I really like the art style.
The character design for Batman and his rogues gallery has been very, very nice.
Yeah.
It's sometimes with animation, I don't know about you, I can find the design can sometimes be a bit difficult to watch after a while. And I don't mean that in the way of it's done badly, but like the movement, and sometimes I find it can give me like a little headache. Even if I'm loving it, I'll just find like if I watch this for 6 hours, I'll be like, oh, that's gonna start fucking with my eyes. This kind of animation style, I look at that, I'm like, I don't think my eyes would ever get tired by this animation style. And I don't mean like, oh, it's so fun that I'll never get bored of it. I mean, I don't think it's very I think it's a very relaxing thing to watch for your eyes. I don't find it strained to watch.
They've kind of hit that classic feel of an old Batman animated, but polished up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The voice acting's really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very different for me to not hear Kevin Conroy's voice.
Obviously.
But overall, I was bloody impressed.
Yeah. No, I thought everyone did a great job.
Yeah, I loved the design for the Batmobile, going for a proper car.
Yeah, like a hot rod. Yeah, it looked cool.
The 50s, 40s, 50s vibe, immaculate.
Yeah.
And the stories are really solid. So what? Episode 1 was the Penguin.
Yeah, we got a female penguin.
Yeah, which was a very classic kind of story.
Yeah.
Episode 2 Clayface?
So yeah, okay. So I was gonna say, I presumed it was Clayface, but obviously that's not quite what I think of as Clayface.
So I think that's a very traditional kind of version of Clayface, because Clayface was an actor. That is. I think in more recent times he's been moved more into the monster category rather than the rogues category.
Right.
So I kind of liked what they did. It was a bit of
I thought it was
of a change, but it definitely worked. Episode 3 was
Firebug.
Yes, Firebug, which was very cool.
Yeah.
Seeing the corruption of the police and the way they handled all that.
Yeah.
Building that kind of Batman-Gordon relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4 was... Who was that?
Catwoman.
Yes, Catwoman.
Which I really enjoyed.
Really, really good episode. Proper classic Catwoman design. Really good.
Can we also talk about the fact, though, that she just had a panther?
Yeah, but that is such an old school comics vibe.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, pure like animated show like makes it's, I expect nothing less, but it was just the fact that it was like, oh, and there's a panther.
Oh, sorry, we got Catwoman and Firebug the wrong way around.
Oh, did we? Oh, okay.
Yes, Catwoman was episode 3, Firebug was episode 4, and then episode 5 was phenomenal. It was Harley Quinn.
Yes.
A very different take on Harley Quinn, not predicated on a relationship with the Joker.
No, but so isn't
that same kind of concept?
Yeah, because
of bad
been a
person that
therapist.
she's helping with corrupted her, just in a very different way. And I liked it.
I really enjoyed, like, we got a mix of clearly setups for recurring villains, and then sprinkled in a couple of, like, the rogues galleries just to kind of add to the tension between the police and stuff. But, like, having Penguin get caught episode 1 and, like, pull away, it's, like, obviously going to come back. Harley escapes, is alive, clearly going to come back. Catwoman in prison, clearly going to be an issue again. Like, they've set up the mainstays, and then we've also, in the first 5 episodes, because obviously we don't know how the rest of it goes, but set up Commissioner Gordon, set up the corruption in the police, set up kind of the lay of the land that this month 1 Batman is dealing with.
Harvey Dent making a run for mayor. He's already shown off his double-headed coin.
Yes. Barbara's about.
Barbara as a lawyer is an interesting decision.
I like it. I think it works well.
So do I. I don't dislike it. I think it also worked with the era quite well.
Yes.
The whole idea behind Barbara Gordon, the reason she became Batgirl, is her dad wouldn't allow her to be a police officer. So that still kind of works in this story world. It's very comic booky in the sense of it's not a truthful retelling of the 40s and 50s. It's a stylized 40s and 50s. They wanted the aesthetic of it, but they didn't want to have to deal with like women aren't going to be able to have a job and we can not have any coloured characters.
I feel like they nailed the mobster look of that era. I don't know what it was, but that first episode, I was like, I feel like I'm watching like Godfather or something like that.
Yeah.
Classic. Just it's obviously the outfits, and obviously it's just from media that we are sold on that is what to expect. But yeah, they nailed the era, I think.
I don't know what the plan is with the show. I don't know if they're planning to do multiple seasons. I don't know if it was just a fun thing they wanted to do.
They will.
It's got a lot of... It's Bruce Timm. He did the animated series, the original animated series in the 90s.
Right.
He knows what he's doing.
It's got Matt Reeves
really
as
good.
executive producer.
Yeah, Matt Reeves is executive producing it, and we know he excels in this storytelling vibe
as well.
Yeah, but also in this kind of noir, dark, gritty vibe. I really like it. It's much more scaled back Batman. By setting it in the 40s, you can have a bit of fun with it, but it's not loads of technology, which I think can overcomplicate Batman at times, which can make it simpler. I'm really enjoying it. My honest to God, my only critique is I'm not a massive fan of the Alfred character design.
I get that. It's
a short, rotund Alfred seems weird to me.
Yeah, I can understand that. It threw me off a little bit, but I think there'll be more revealed of him.
Oh, for sure. What I would love to see if they do more of this, and obviously in one of the later episodes it might get teased. I would love to see a Dick Grayson Robin in this cartoon.
That could be cool.
He would work so well in this cartoon because this cartoon is very much the vibe of early days Batman. Dick Grayson was early days Batman. His character would fit in so naturally to this setting and this time period. And I'm sick of us getting so much Batman media without Robin. Batman without Robin isn't really a thing. It's existed for tiny portions of time, but for some reason it makes up so much of our visual media.
It'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets the second season. I wonder how how much of a longevity the show has, considering we know that James Gunn wants to have the Batman actor that the actors he picks also to voice act any animated stuff. So unless he's going to pick this voice actor as the Batman actor, at some point it's going to have to stop so there's not this overlap that creates confusion.
I mean, he said he's happy to do Elseworld stories, which I
True.
assume is what it comes under. He's not going to be dealing with this time frame. Kind of stories he's going to tell won't fit 40s Gotham as well. So I imagine it will just... I mean, don't get me wrong, it might affect it being made long term, but hopefully it just gets hit with an Elseworlds label.
Yeah, or, I mean, any animated Batman that's part of the DCU is probably going to be way down the line. This might have time to run its course before then, and we get 2-3 seasons of it at least.
Exactly. For sure. But I'm enjoying it greatly. I look forward to watching the next 5 episodes and discussing them next week. But
I'm enjoying
it's really
all this
clean.
animated content. Yeah,
it's really clean. And it was actually quite nice to get kind of a very simplistic, that sounds so like, oh, it's very simple. But you know what I mean? It's very clean, very nice cut lines. Yeah, it felt like watching a cartoon as a kid with how it was done, but done in the most polished, clean way imaginable.
It gave the same feel that X-Men 97 did, which was like, it feels like we're back to the core of what we used to remember as watching, but fresh, like polished up.
The only difference is they didn't add like the real impressive transitions between 2 and 3D that X-Men 97 had that made it really pop. And obviously the color palette being a little bit blander because of the time period obviously doesn't make it look as visually impressive.
But still.
But yeah, catch us next week.
I did see on our TikTok that we got someone agrees with my idea for a 24 style Batman.
Yes. Someone is very
needs to make
into the idea of a 24-hour Batman.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. Right. Let us get into San Diego Comic-Con.
What? Now, I want to just say this now because I haven't said it to you. I apologize for the amount of spam I sent you at 3 a.m. I knew you were asleep, but I was like, I need to send these things to Connor. Even though he's away and asleep, he can look at it all in the morning. I was just like, please don't have your phone.
I'll be honest. I woke up and I went through, like, I was already opening Twitter before I'd seen your notification. So, like, I was going to go find that stuff. Yeah. You just saved me time.
I was just like, I had a visual of like I was sending it. It's like 3 a.m. when the whole H was happening for us, and I was like, "What if? Oh, I'm gonna feel really bad if Connor's phone's on loud and Jenna's just there hearing your phone go bing, 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 bing."
Yeah, for sure. Right. So, DC weren't expected to have much of a presence.
No, we made a couple of predictions.
Yeah, we knew they were doing a Penguin panel.
Yeah.
That was confirmed. We or I said, I don't know if you agreed with me or not, that we might get a Creature Commandos trailer. We were hoping for a Matt Reeves Batman 2 update, that kind of stuff. The only really notable stuff is we got a Creature Commandos trailer. Looks very good.
Yeah, it does.
We got a new logo for DC Studios, going back to a more classic one of the 70s.
Yes, with a little animated Superman. Yeah.
I like it. It's one of these crazy things. It feels a lot less corporate than the old one.
Yeah.
Even if it is, and this is obviously an opinion thing, a worse designed logo, it feels less corporate. Therefore, I like it more. Do you know what I mean?
Here's my thing. It's not a worse, as from graphic design side of things, it's not a worse logo because it's still as iconic because it is the classic one. So everyone remembers it as like, oh yeah, that's the DC logo that once was. Like, and I think them going back to that for the films helps this like reset of like James Gunn wanting to do a more comic book accurate vibe. It helps kind of bring everyone into that with it. So yeah, cool.
And the Penguin, a new Penguin trailer
looks very good.
I like. If only there was a way to easily watch it in the UK, Warner Brothers.
We will find a way. I'm not surprised it looks fucking great. Like, we both love Matt Reeves' Batman and the just the visual style and language of that film.
Yeah.
That carried over into TV. It's like I'm so glad to be back in that world.
Yeah,
I'm
it
very
looks really good.
excited to see the Penguin get developed more and see
That
how it's going
world
to
with
set up.
that world with a crime-centric focus is gonna pop. And that is it from DC, really.
Yeah.
Nothing else major.
Which is no surprise with James Gunn not there. We joked that maybe we get some big reveal just to be like really catch us off guard because he wasn't going to be there. But it makes sense that if there was going to be something big, James Gunn would have been there. So
for sure. The only Marvel gaming news that we got in the end was more Marvel Rivals information.
Yeah. New characters.
We got a first look at Doom and Thor and a couple of other characters. They also confirmed that going live right at that moment was Thor and Jeff the Landshark in the closed beta.
That has become loved globally. I'm seeing the only content I'm seeing of this game at the moment is, oh my god, look at this goodest boy. It's just Jeff the Landshark.
Yeah. Game looks good. I know we're both very excited to finally get our grubby little mitts on it and give it a play.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far off it is for open betas and stuff.
For us who are fans of Critical Role, Travis is voicing Thor.
Doom and Thor and a couple of others, I think.
He's voiced Thor in a few of the Marvel things and for them before, so it makes sense that they're getting back. Cool that he's also getting to do Doom. I mean, yeah. So
he's got a deep booming voice.
Always cool to see the people I recognise from the Critical Role on there.
Knowing a bit about voice actors just by different things, it's always fun once you know a couple of voice actors see them do something. Like, oh, I know. And you also realise how, 12 voice actors run the world.
Yeah.
Comic news for Marvel.
This is all you.
Yeah, so they announced plans for the new Ultimates universe going forward. So if people remember, I got very excited 7-8 months ago about Jonathan Hickman doing a new Ultimate Spider-Man run, which was what if Peter Parker got his powers later on in life. There's a whole universe going on around with that. They've got a new Ultimates Avengers, Black Panther, a couple other bits, can't remember exactly what. So there was a bit of a roadmap about what's happening going forward with that and doing a yearly release thing. Alongside that, they announced a new West Coast Avengers lineup, being headed by Iron Man, Rhodey, and Ultron. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. As part of an Amazing Spider-Man run, I believe, so the mainline comics, we're getting a story arc called The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, in which Doom gives Spider-Man 9 lives, I believe.
Okay.
And then we've got 2 mini-series coming out called Venom War and Wolverine Revenge.
Smart for them to do a Wolverine one.
Yes. We also got an update on X-Men from the Ashes, the new Age of Comics post the Krakoan era, which some people remember I got very excited for a while back. I recently put the new Uncanny X-Men onto my subscription list. I realised I did it a bit late, so I've had to pre-order the first 3 issues so that I can also get them instead of having to start at issue 4. But I'm very excited for that to start, and we've got a bit of an update about what's coming across with that.
Can't wait to see that backlog get bigger.
It's actually got smaller this week. On Wednesday, yesterday, I was playing games in the morning and it was so warm. I was like, nothing's speaking to me. I don't want to really play anything. I got all my comics I hadn't caught up on. I put them on the coffee table. I read through my Ultimate Spider-Man ones, all my Miles Morales. I made a start to my Amazing Spider-Man because that's my thicker pile. And I was like, okay, that's enough tonight, but they're still on the coffee table. So I know what ones I have to read and they're shaming me until I sit down and read them. But of course, the big thing is at San Diego Comic-Con is Hall H and all of them announcements. So we're going to get into them. We're going to go film by film. Yes, there's a very obvious bit that we will talk about. As Hori's seen in my notes, I have complicated feelings about it. We're going to discuss it. This might be the kind of thing that I end up sitting with and writing a proper piece on for a different week, because I think there's lots to be broken down here, but it's also important to get
our
the
reaction.
basis of what we're thinking out.
Yeah.
First up, Captain America: Brave New World.
Yes.
So the question for the longest time has been, who the fuck is Giancarlo Esposito playing?
Yeah.
I don't get his outfit.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed that he's playing Sidewinder, the Serpent Society's king.
Yes.
Did you Google what this character looks like at all, Horry?
I haven't, and I also don't even know. It's something I meant to do.
Google what this character looks like, and then you'll
Sidewinder.
understand why no one recognised his character.
Is he fully suited and you can't actually see anyone under it? Oh.
It's a very comic book outfit, we shall say.
Just searching Sidewinder just gave me a snake. Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you see why people didn't instantly go, "Oh, that's Sidewinder."
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know much about this character, as I'm sure you will guess if you've watched us for any length of time. There will be a character profile in the future about who they are, so don't worry.
Why do I feel like he's going to become that?
Winter Soldier vibe was the goal. As I said from the trailer, that is exactly the vibe I got from the trailer.
Yeah.
And it's what I hope to get, as it is no secret that is my favourite Marvel film.
Yep.
And that's what they're aiming for. Hopefully they have stuck the landing as well as it seems they have.
Yeah. Yeah, they said, Kevin was saying on stage that they've returned to a more grounded Winter Soldier feel to get that back to where Captain America works best.
Yes, and it makes even more sense as well when you consider Sam doesn't have superpowers.
Yes.
That more grounded, gritty Winter Soldier feel makes even more sense for him as a character, because he can't be going around throwing planets at people. He isn't that guy.
Yeah, he can't really take on like Thanos level characters the same.
I love Harrison Ford. I shit you not, ladies and gentlemen, Horry can confirm this. That is a bullet point in my notes.
It is.
We have needed someone who respects the work they're doing, but also has no time for these hypothetical bullshit conversations. We need it bad.
I mean, we've said it about Harrison Ford that the only film that he like remotely ever shows he cares about was Indiana Jones. Star Wars, he couldn't care less. Anytime someone questioned about Star Wars stuff, he's like, nah, I don't know. Like,
but here's the thing: he was very happy in all the interviews I saw from San Diego. He was like, I'm in Earth 616. He's like, I need to go sit down. He was very funny. He was like, I don't know this stuff. I'm here to have a good time, and he's clearly having a good time. His relationship with the actor who plays Sam, Anthony Mackie on stage. Was brilliant. They clearly had a lot of fun working together.
Here's the thing: Harrison Ford is like, when you see him in like interviews that really break his shell, he is a funny guy and has a good laugh. Like, you could see that he was genuinely enjoyed the fact that he's getting to join the MCU. He made jokes about like, oh, everyone's been having fun over here, I've needed my chance. And then I think he even said in an interview he would have grown the mustache if they wanted him to.
Here's the thing, at the end of the day, regardless of how he reacts to fandoms, which he's found himself involved with a lot, he is a phenomenal actor who pays the script he's given and the job he's asked to a lot of respect. He just doesn't care past that. He doesn't want to get into the hypothetical discussions. He doesn't care about the films he wasn't in.
He doesn't care who an anchor being is.
Yeah, he just wants to turn up and do the best job he can, and I will be amazed if that isn't what he's done. But I just wanted to put it out there. I love Harrison Ford, and we needed him doing this.
Oh yeah. They also showed some footage.
Yes, there was some exclusive footage showed based on. People aren't allowed to record it. I'm sure someone has recorded it, although I haven't seen any leaked shit. Although that normally happens about a week later.
Yeah, they usually wait.
But people are allowed to type up what was seen. The big thing I've seen typed up from that is Ross turning into Red Hulk outside the White House.
Yes.
That sounds lit.
It does. And the idea that maybe he was giving a speech and suddenly gets put in a position where he has to change.
I like the idea more that someone asked a question that infuriated him so much he changed. Yeah. There was some Thunderbolt stuff. I've not been able to find a lot of information because I'm sure you can imagine it was overshone by other things. All I know is they've once again gone, don't worry about the asterisks, we'll talk about that later. Ghost has a new outfit apparently.
Yeah, Ghost has a new outfit. Obviously the full cast. The thing of why am I forgetting his name? The one that plays
David Harbour.
Yes. They opened this bit of the panel with him in the crowd, full costume, looked great in his new costume, giving a speech, and then he gets up to the stage and he's like, we put out an email saying we were all going to get dressed up. This is Comic-Con. We're meant to do cosplay, which is just perfect.
Yeah. So the only bits of information I've really been able to see is in the footage, we saw Ghost has a new outfit. Yelena calls Guardian Dad, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, they've all been sent on this mission, but none of them know at first the other ones have been sent as well.
Yes, they've all kind of been set up to go to the same mission.
So that's interesting, and we will come back to Thunderbolts a little bit later on, because I think the mystery of this asterisk has started to already reveal itself. The Fantastic Four has a title.
It does. Not revealed straight away.
No. First Steps. Now, we're going to take a little back to Deadpool and Wolverine quickly.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it. One of the biggest pops I gave in that film, and I squeezed Jenna by the leg, and I went, "That's the Fantasticar!" Because one of the Mad Max vehicles was the Fantasticar.
Yeah, so I remember when the trailer first came out for Deadpool, there was a moment when all those vehicles, and people were like, that sort of looks like a 4 on a very grey silvery car, but people weren't sure. But yeah, in the film it is a classic old school looking Fantasticar. Alongside the Red Skull's hot rod, but with Iron Man's face on it, then other vehicles.
Cool.
Yeah, we
get
got
the
one on
Fantastic
stage.
Car. Have you seen the picture that has come out of it?
Well, there's the video of it going over the top of the stage.
Stunning.
Oh,
beautiful.
Do you know what funny thing is? It's you predicted. We were trying to predict things that might happen for Fantastic Four stuff because we knew they were going to be there. And you were like, a big pop from the crowd will be having the robot come out. Yeah. They got that effect with this instead.
Yeah, showing off the Fantastic Car. And that's also a great way to show off the vibe.
Yes.
Stylistically, you are so bound by vehicles you choose to put in your world. And that is going to give a vibe straight away.
Speaking of vibe, they showed some early test shots they've done on 4x3, which I take as on film. Yeah, things of Pedro Reed Richards being a science teacher. Yeah, and other things, which everyone's immediately gone, okay, now we see why Pedro was picked. He fits that vibe perfectly.
Some of the spacesuits looked phenomenal as well.
Yes.
And we got some test footage of Galactus peering through a window. Very clearly massive in size and a celestial being. I'm furious. As someone who grew up in the 2000s, Galactus is a cloud and he always has been. Why are they giving him a face? That's a joke. Relax. I'm so glad we're getting Galactus, who's actually Galactus. How phenomenal.
Did you see the drone thing they did as well?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it. Apparently, it broke the record for the largest ever drone show or something.
Yeah, so they had a Galactus head out of drones with purple lights, and it slowly rose over the convention area. Yeah, and you just saw this giant Galactus head rise, giving that effect of what he is, which is just massive in the sky.
That's phenomenal. Lot of love for that. Very excited. I cannot explain my excitement.
Loads of interviews we saw of them all talking about how they've been getting into the family vibe. They've really been gelling together, which I think is great. So they were saying they start filming. We thought they just started. They actually start the day after they were on stage. Yeah. And they were all very excited to...
Very short time window.
Yes.
And that's my only concern, but I'm going to remain optimistic because what else do we have? Avengers 5 and 6.
I was right. We got an Avengers 5 title change.
Yes, we did.
I wasn't quite ready for what it was.
So I believe first it got announced that Avengers Secret War Avengers Secret War and Avengers 5 was going to be taken over by the Russo brothers.
Yes, so it first kicked off with Avengers Secret War having a new title logo.
Yes.
New visual to it. And then, the Russo brothers came out, were announced that they're back, they're taking over, which is what I had predicted. Hopefully that was going to be the case.
Yeah. The rumors were they were back, so people are like, if that is the case, hopefully that gets announced.
Yeah. So they're back for Avengers. They mentioned that, with a story as big as Secret Wars, obviously the one before needs to lay that up, just like we did with Endgame and whatnot. So they seem very excited to be back. I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
Another big piece of the puzzle is also Stephen McFeely's back to write.
Yes.
He worked on the Captain America trilogy as well as Infinity War and Endgame. So I understand why some people are a bit apprehensive. It feels like one step back after trying to move on from that stuff. But you could also view it as a sign of stability.
Yes.
We'll see. But the big announcement was obviously the title change post Kang. What does the MCU look like? What leads in to Secret Wars?
Yes.
And I want to say, I'm gonna say this, and someone else can go back and find the footage. I said my prediction while we still had a Kang was that Kang Dynasty would end with Kang dying, and the big reveal would be that the actual big bad for Secret War is Doctor Doom.
So this is something after this all got revealed, I remember, and I went back and I've realized it was before we started the podcast, was when Falcon and Winter Soldier came out. It was before we started doing the podcast, and I remember when that show was coming out and we were having our own discussions, and there was mentions of the Power Broker and some of the characters that were used. You were like, oh, they're like the OG Thunderbolt. Like, you were predicting, oh, are they Thunderbolts? Because they had those weapons, and you were like, Thunderbolts were used by Doctor Doom. And then I remember you saying in messages back then, oh, this is very much like maybe they're setting up Doctor Doom. And this was before we got Kang announced. And then I think Kang got announced and we kind of like, oh, this is the direction they're going. And then I do think you have said, when we've talked about Secret Wars or whatnot and Kang Dynasty and stuff, that you've said, oh, maybe they flip the switch on us and it's Doom.
My theory was spend the entire time building up Kang, and then you have Doom just fucking decimate him in a second, and then all of that fear you have about Kang as a character gets doubled or tripled because this guy's just walked in and destroyed him instantly, as well as the hype of it being Doom. So I actually do not think overall too much has changed.
No.
For Secret War.
I think that, for Secret War, they're just, rather than it probably being like a entities, like, flip the switch right at the end of Kang Dynasty, or possibly that's what it was going to be, the Russo brothers have come in and gone, no, like, if this is going to be the main guy of Secret Wars, like, it needs properly setting up. You're in a position now, with everything that's gone on and how Loki kind of went, that you can sort of get away with transitioning away.
Yeah.
It's not in a terrible spot. There's a few loose ends you're going to have to kind of try and explain, like with Ant-Man and stuff, because they know of him.
Yeah. But you can work around that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that they were like Avengers and then it went green and it was Avengers Doomsday, and I was like, holy shit, they're doing it. And then they were really doing what the rumors were saying.
Yes. So I've got some notes here. But I'm just going to talk through because this is literally my entire thought process.
Okay.
Complicated feelings for sure about Robert Downey Jr.'s return as Doom. My knee-jerk reaction was holy shit. Like, I believe that is verbatim one of the first messages I sent after seeing that.
Yeah.
There is a very interesting breakdown on the internet right now. Surprisingly, a lot of die-hard comic fans are not the ones who are happy. They're like,
Yes, I've
this
seen
doesn't make
this.
a lot of sense. This feels like a big step backwards. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. There's also a lot of people like, holy shit, our DJ's back. This is awesome. And I get that as well.
Mm.
So here is my thinking, and hopefully this covers a lot of the points on both sides.
Okay.
Robert Downey Jr. is a good enough actor to play Doctor Doom.
Yes.
That is not a part I'm concerned about.
No.
Bringing him back with his history in the MCU as Tony Stark to play Iron Man, as Tony Stark / Iron Man, to play Doctor Doom does feel a bit weird.
Mm-hmm.
Them roles don't marry up alongside each other in a way that makes sense. You have to acknowledge they have the same face. And they are definitely going to play on this, oh, he's been here before.
Mm.
That is where more of my concern lies.
Mm-hmm.
I won't feel like Doom. Yeah. It won't feel necessarily like he's Doom to a lot of people because he's been Tony before. Doom should be terrifying.
Yeah.
There is also no way he can or should be the long-term Doctor Doom.
I agree.
So, this is leaning in once again to the thing that, and this might end up being copium, and we're in big trouble if it is. If there isn't a soft reboot after Secret Wars, this casting decision gets 1,000,000 times worse.
I don't even... Maybe it does go all the way to Secret Wars. Probably, but maybe it's in Secret Wars it changes. I don't think he is long-term Doom. Yes, on stage, they announced him as Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, there is no way that they're...
So, here's my thing. Marvel is notorious for throwing us red flags and misdirections. Yes, they're going to announce it as Victor Von Doom. Like that, just that as a statement is very hype for the crowd. It's gonna, like, they know what they're doing. I still think the rumor that we originally heard of this is a variant of Tony Stark who turns into Doctor Doom because he's gone off in a different direction, I think is actually more the case. And I think that's why it leans into it. This isn't going to be the permanent Doctor Doom. This is like a stepping stone.
I do get that. That also makes no sense, though. Because logically, I don't see any way Tony Stark becomes Doctor Doom.
So, I was like looking stuff up.
See, you might be about to fall into a classic blunder here.
I might be.
Yes, I think you are.
No. It's not the one where Doctor Doom pretends to be Iron Man for a bit.
Okay.
So, because I saw that theory and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Because it's meant to be Doctor Doom in an Iron Man suit, not Iron Man is Doctor Doom. This was a video that stumbled onto my recommended, and I was like very intrigued and watched it. And this guy broke down a very interesting comic, which is actually
DC.
No. So,
was this him doing the Wally West story?
No.
I saw this as well, which is why it could work. Okay, continue.
No. So there's a What If comic apparently, where instead of Doctor Doom's roommate in college being Reed Richards, it's Tony Stark. And he breaks down the comic, and then obviously I haven't read this comic, I'm going off this video. Maybe I'm being thrown off massively, but this is a What If comic, so obviously it's not a main run comic. Basically, Tony's like Tony, he is intelligent, but his usual persona with the women and cocky and stuff. Meanwhile, Doom's working his ass off in college, trying to be strict. Is working on a project. Yes. So basically, working on a machine, says he needs Tony's help. Turns out it's a mind swap machine. He takes over Tony's body because he's like, I can get Tony's wealth, his family's position. I can use my intelligence and do these things that I'm trying to do, but I'm not able to have because of my background. Tony gets put into Victor Von Doom's body, and essentially both then become... Tony is in Doom's body, becomes Doctor Doom, but in a sense of he goes back home, it's Tony, so he's still trying to do good, and then you've got Doctor Doom in Iron Man's body. And I think that's potentially how it.
I've seen a lot of people.
Maybe they could use this because if they do this mind swap idea, right? You've got Doctor Doom in Iron Man's body, which then makes sense as to why you would have Tony's face, RDJ, and it be the Doctor Doom character who he has the money and the power, and he goes a bit crazy with it and becomes obsessive like Doctor Doom is. But obviously he's got Iron Man's money and he's in a green and silver Iron Man suit. And he ends up... But, like, they could use that basis to get there, and then maybe then there is a proper Doom who comes along and is like, fuck you, I'm more powerful, kills him, and actually shows who the real Doctor Doom is.
It's just... It's a really difficult one to get right.
Yeah.
They are doing this to put butts in seats, and I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
But that leads on to my other main issue. The rumor is he's earning in excess of $80 million, as well as a fucking army of other benefits.
Yep.
Now,
saw that.
I'm never ever going to begrudge someone who actually does a job earning money. This isn't like a CEO or someone who owns a bunch of shares. He is actually going to work for money. Whether we think that's a fair amount of money or not is irrelevant at this point. He's actually working for that money. So I have much less of an issue with sports stars and athletes and actors going out there and negotiating insane deals for themselves. Because even with this deal, he's still closer to us than he is to Jeff Bezos. Yeah. But the last 2 years of media across the board we've seen, of layoffs, of people being overworked and underpaid. This man is being paid near as damn it in total compensation once you include the whole host of other shit they're going to pay for him to be on set. They're spending the money that made Oppenheimer on, I don't believe, the best choice for the role.
Yeah. No, I think there definitely was a fat check that persuaded him to come back. We know he has, like, he'd mentioned he would like to come back as Iron Man. They've clearly gone, we'll pay you this much, but it's not to play Iron Man as Iron Man. We've got this other idea. And he's seen the money and gone, sure, I trust you guys, whatever, let's do it. And we're in this limbo now of either they've based this idea off, they're like, we're missing, like, us fans are missing something that they clearly want us to miss, and they have a very good, strong idea. And I think the best I've seen so far is it's like some mind switch shit, some diversion of the real Doctor Doom. But it's a very risky play.
Yes.
It's one where I think they've put themselves in the corner of, they saw what happened with No Way Home. And we're like, oh my God, people love the nostalgia. They've done it with Deadpool. People are like, oh my God, this is so cool having all these cameos come back. They've gone, oh, people keep mentioning about bringing RDJ back. Hugh came back. There's a way to do it. Like, what if we do it this way? And it'll get butts and seats because it's RDJ back in the MCU. And they've taken a risk, and it's whether or not they pull off this risk now.
There is one other talking point around Doom that is worth mentioning. And last thing I'd want to be accused of is just glossing over this. I don't think right now this is the most important part of the discussion, but it is a part of the discussion. Doom is a Romani character.
Yes.
There are very real discussions about should you be looking for a Romani actor for this role. I have a couple of counterpoints to the people who think it's crazy that they're not, but I also fully get where they're coming from and do mostly agree. A lot of people have called the RDJ casting whitewashing. I think that's taken it a step far. Romani people don't have a set skin colour. Lots of European Romani people look very white. But yes, you can obviously get more who are more South American looking or Southern European looking, more Spanish, Italian, Argentine. I don't think this can be classed as whitewashing just because he's white, but I think that term is more used when you cast someone who isn't an ethnicity to play an ethnicity. It's just with the Romani ethnicity, a particular skin colour isn't the overriding normality. The issue we've got is, and this is a problem Marvel have a lot of their characters, and I'm not saying this makes it okay, but I'm saying this is also the lens you need to look at it through to an extent. Are they going to do Doctor Doom's origin and make it clear that the Romani ancestry matters, or are they going to skip out a large portion of that because it's a 2-hour film? If they're going to skip out a large portion of that, I don't think it matters anyway. The anger should be why you're not showing the characters Romani before you even get to the actor.
Yes.
If they are going to show that the character's Romani, I think we're starting to veer very dangerously into this reverse typecasting, which allows a lot of ne'er-do-well white people to go, why is that character being cast as black when they've always been white? There's a danger, and with the way fucking political climate is right now, it's on a knife edge as it is. There is a very dangerous thing where you say they need to be Romani, they need to be Romani. I do get that. I don't know of many, if any, very famous Romani actors. Doom has to be played by an A-lister.
Yeah, this is the difficult.
It's really difficult.
Yes, the character should be portrayed as Romani. I think the question should be more is Marvel going to address that with the character in the story they tell? The actor being Romani is difficult because like you say, you need an A-lister. You need someone who has great acting qualities to pull off a character such as Doom. The pool for that, like that Venn diagram of Romani actors and who could play Doom to the level we want Doom to be in the MCU, is very small, if at all, there. And it's like, I think it should be more important that the character's portrayed as Romani as it should be, and at least isn't an actor that is so far from how a Romani might look that it's that's there's a level of how close, they should be visibly plausible, I think.
And that's the thing, exactly that. The bigger thing for me is make sure you respect the culture of the character. As long as the actor also respects the culture of the character, why is that a problem? And I get all sides of it, but we're just saying now you're only allowed to act in the roles you're given, and the roles that you're born into. A British actor's only allowed to play British people. An American actor's only allowed to play American people. Because if you do that, and if you want to make that fight, the wrong people are just going to use that as an excuse to only make films about white people again.
Yeah. I think if there are, obviously, I'm feeling I'm safe to say, but we both aren't well versed on Romani actors.
No, absolutely not. And if there is someone who's perfect for the role, Marvel should absolutely bang their fucking door down.
Yeah. Here's the thing: if there are those people out there, and Marvel isn't talking to them at least, then yes, Marvel's in the wrong. If it's almost impossible to find one, Marvel's not in the wrong to not. They can't hire someone that doesn't exist. So again, it goes back to the character should be portrayed that way in a respectful way in the story being told. If the actor can also be in that culture, perfect. If they can't, then the actor hopefully is respectful of the character that they are playing. But I think this is the whole thing with RDJ coming back, and everyone's jumping to conclusions, obviously making predictions, being this is great, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. We don't know what the story. All we know is this leads up to Secret War. We know Secret War is going to use variants. Our best guess is this is not the actual long-term, actual scary Doom, and this is a decoy, because one, announcing this gets butts in seats. Also, when has Marvel actually on stage revealed who their true big bad an actor is or actress?
It's, I'm I'm of the opinion that these castings are to put butts in seats to finish this off before the soft reboot.
Mm.
Some characters are going to survive that, some aren't. And as a result, we're then going to get a universe that has all of the characters from the beginning, so they don't have to try and dance around the mutant issue and stuff like that. I think this is alongside how do you get Wolverine and Spider-Man, them characters who were played outside the MCU, their big send-off. I think this is the same idea. And they want to play on the... Like, so much of the MCU is built around Tony Stark. I get why they'd want to play it off as everyone has to deal with this evil guy who looks like Tony Stark, whether it's a Tony Stark variant who becomes Doom or a Victor Von Doom variant who happens to look just like Tony Stark. It doesn't actually matter on that level. What I will say is I'll be amazed if this ends up being the best version of Doctor Doom we get, purely because they've gone out to get RDJ for a reason, and whatever that reason is, I feel like detracts from Doom as a character.
Yeah, I just think it could set us up for the best Doom.
Yes.
I hope that this is all, like you say, them getting butts and seats because another reboot's coming, but they're still keeping something hidden. There's going to be a twist that makes this all make sense. That's my copium. And say what you want, like you say, the story that'll be able to be told of characters that knew Tony and having to deal with this person that looks like them but isn't them and they're evil. Like, let's talk about fucking Spider-Man and their relationship. If he comes face to face with this variant of Tony Stark who is Victor Von Doom, that's gonna fuck with that kid, and that's gonna make for some great storytelling.
Yeah.
It's just,
but there is also a large element of this, and I know I'm guilty of it as well to an extent, of comic book fans going, yeah, but that's not how it happened in the comics. And as someone who I read comics and I get that side, I absolutely get that side. But on the same side, I remember before I read comics watching these films, these discussions didn't happen as much because the internet wasn't as prevalent and stuff like that, and it allowed things to happen. It's really difficult. There's no right answer. Doing something new isn't always bad, but at the same time, you don't want to detract from what made 60, 70 years of lore about a character so great just for a quick buck, which is the danger of RDJ as Doom. And this is the balancing act.
Yeah, at the moment they're on the edge of like either this is going to make for a great twist and actually make for a great film and give us a great Doom long term, or it's going to go down as damn, MCU really did need that soft reboot.
Yeah. And it's always interesting when you see creators who get labelled shills constantly go, I don't like that decision. And you know Marvel have taken note of that. Because they will know, they'll know the big content creators. They'll be aware of them. If there's someone who's always ragging on them, they're not going to pay any attention when they continue to rag on them. If there's someone who is like always like, okay, cool, but they're trying something, let's give them a break, and they go, I think this is a bad decision, that's the kind of thing Marvel will take notice of.
It's like everything with Marvel. Often we don't know everything. They're clearly going to be hiding stuff close to their chest.
Yeah.
And maybe this pays off.
Yeah.
And hopefully this pays off.
The last thing I will say is we know that Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and another team, I forget who, are in Doomsday. I think that asterisk is exactly why they're in Doomsday.
Fantastic Four will also be in Secret Wars.
Yes. I'm incredibly curious to see what happens. But I've been very positive about the MCU even during ups and downs here. This is the first time that I feel like they've actively made a mistake, potentially, and not so much that's pissed off some people, but I'm not sure it's a bad decision. This is one that I feel like they thought was just going to be like 200 million% vote of confidence, and it's not gone that smoothly for them.
Yeah, I still lean on the side of optimistic that this is not, their plan isn't as clear as people are presuming it to be. Like, I think they're misdirecting us somewhat with things.
And they also have time to make it a misdirect if they're like, oh, people really don't like that.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, one thing that could be really cool is that obviously in this conversation I've seen everyone being like, no, this is the Doom we want, and it's God Doom where he rips Thanos' spine out of his body. Imagine if the real Doom comes on and just does that to RDJ.
Yeah.
Like, what if it's you ain't the real Doom, and just in front of like everyone? I feel like then maybe that would work.
Right. Other bits of information from San Diego Comic-Con worth discussing. We got an Invincible Season 3 poster.
Yes, we did.
And a bit of first look with him in the blue and black suit.
Yes. Showrunners also... Season 4 got greenlit.
Yeah.
And
absolutely
also
confirmed it is coming.
They've said Season 3 is going to be marking his darkest era before going into Season 4, where there's going to be some crazy shit goes down.
Yeah.
So I think it's what we kind of expected to be coming. Like, we knew the black and blue was coming and it was going to get wild. So excited.
Much excited. The boys had a lot more to show than I think we expected.
Yes.
All I really had to predict was maybe we get an update on the boys Mexico.
Yeah. And I said maybe Gen V, but we kind of expected not because of circumstances.
So we got confirmed that Gen V's coming out in 2025, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It was confirmed the boys season 5 will be coming out in 2026, which was assumed, but it's always nice for a confirmation. The boys Mexico is in early development with Diego Luna and another gentleman whose names I forget, working on it as executive producers.
Mm-hmm.
And something I didn't know I needed, Vought Rising was announced, starring Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy and Ayakash as Stormfront, in a show set in the 50s.
Yes, in the times before.
Yeah, it's a prequel to The Boys.
Yeah. Prequel to Vought and everything, like, kind of to what it has become.
Expectations off rip are that we're going to get to watch the first ever Hero Gasm event.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Because they are the two founding members of it.
Yeah, that. Maybe they'll finally do it, like, really wild.
And the expectation is also that it's going to be revealed that they are Homelander's parents.
Yeah. Do we also
get... Which makes his relationship with Stormfront even more uncomfortable.
It'd be interesting if we also get kind of a bit more into noir.
Yeah. We're going to see some stuff.
I think we're going to get some cool... Because obviously they were being used as on the war front, but actually they were just faking it. So it's like there's going to be some wild and crazy shit that goes down.
For sure. And obviously Ayakash is a Nazi. Oh, sorry, not Ayakash. Stormfront is a Nazi.
Yeah, careful with that word.
Sorry, I didn't mean to libel you. Stormfront's a Nazi, and this is just after World War II. So is she going to be playing it really low, or are they going to take the mick out of how quickly right-wing fascism can continue to grow after seemingly being defeated?
Who knows? We also got confirmation that Soldier Boy will be a big part of season 5.
And his main goal is apparently going to be dealing with Billy Butcher, so that'll be fun. For sure. And then something we were hoping to get, but we weren't 100% sure of. We were pretty confident because of the timeline we're dealing with here, but you never know. Rings of Power Season 2 trailer.
Yes. I am sure there's plenty of Lord of the Rings fans that hated on Season 1. They're out there probably complaining about a lot of this. I think it looked cool. I will say I'm fine. I'm okay at being able to separate this show from being book accurate because it's more it's just more in Middle Earth. Like, I fucking love this shit. I I'm so down to see where this story goes. We're going to get to see the rings created. We're going to get the trickery of Sauron and his plan. We're going to get Gandalf, well, the Stranger, as he's still known at the end of season 1, but quite clearly Gandalf, meeting, I think, maybe the Blue Wizard and maybe Bombadil.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it was... I'd have to watch the trailer back again, but definitely meets with Bombadil, who's like a crazy powerful character.
Is he the bard trickster dude who's like crazy powerful magic? He can like wear the Rum Ring without it fucking with him because he's so weird.
And he's neutral. He just doesn't get involved in anything. People say that is a Tolkien insert into his own story.
The arcane trickster.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think it maybe will show him meeting him and asking for help and stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not getting involved with this shit." I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be very cool. Yeah, we're back in Lord of the Rings. I can't like.
I am not an all-knowing. I think we've established very much on this. I handle comic book and superhero characters. You kind of take on more of the sci-fi and fantasy stuff. I, as more of a neutral person towards it, I enjoyed the fuck out of season 1. I look forward to season 2. It's a pretty show. It's a fun to follow story. Yeah. I'm excited to see what we get.
We're going to see, I think this season, for season 2, we'll see a lot of the development of the characters that people questioned their morals in season 1 actually start to turn into the characters that people were expecting them to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, also, just before this, we did get, I wished for this and hoped, but there was some Critical Role. They had a panel.
Yes, there was a Vox Machina update for season 3.
They showed a teaser for season 3. I'm pretty sure, like a little quick thing. And then they also
storyboarding for Mighty Nine?
Yes, they did. Of which I haven't watched that campaign. I watched like the first. It's gonna sound like a lot, but I think I watched like the first 80 episodes. There is like many episodes, and I fell off from watching that whole campaign. I think they were showing the kind of the meeting of two characters. I'm very excited to get Mighty Nine, purely because then I can get to watch the whole story and understand what actually went down.
At the end of the day, for me, as someone who now watches more D20, D&D content, I understand how the game works a lot better. Because remember, watching Vox Machina Season 1, I had no real knowledge of D&D other than that it was a fantasy world. And that was basically it. Now, I've played Baldur's Gate 3, so I understand to a decent enough degree the core mechanics of D&D and how that kind of stuff works. I've watched a lot of D20 on Dropout. I've watched seasons 1 and 2 of Vox Machina. I'm really looking forward to Mighty Nine and season 3 of Vox Machina. As someone who understands what that would look like at the table a bit better now, being able to see how that translates, I'm very much looking forward to.
It'll be cool because you'll start to pick up on like, oh, that's when they rolled a nat 1, or like the things that I picked up on. The interesting thing is season 3, like because it's been so long since I've watched Vox Machina when they were doing it as a ongoing show. Trying to remember where we're up to in the story. I still feel like there's loads left, which means we've still got a good few seasons of Vox Machina.
And it doesn't seem like it's slowing down.
No, and if we're gonna have Mighty Nine on the side, it's. I said it to you. I'd love if this animation and this company that Critical Role started and they're managing all this on their own. I'd love if they go into like Brennan at D20 and we're like, yo, let's make one of your shows as a
having watched the 3 seasons of Fantasy High that are currently out, there are some bits in that are and because it's a little bit more sitcom-y because it's set like a 60s style town with teenagers, some of the animated and funny and some of the decisions the characters make in that would come across so hilariously funny.
Yeah, I think it could be really well done. Like
obviously Fantasy High is the only one I've seen all of. But just watching that one, I'm like, yes, I would watch that as a TV show, yes, give it to me yesterday, please. Because it also really wouldn't compete with Vox Machina in the same way, because it's a lot more comedy and ridiculousness.
But I'm so down because I think it's all under like a business they call Darrington Press, or one of they've got a few. But like, I'm so down if they are like, they go to all these different D&D shows and help bring them into an animated world, and they have just like, welcome to the animated D&D universe.
Yeah, it's just there's brilliant stories to be told there, and the beauty of D&D, and I've said that since Vox Machina, is when you're writing a story, you're limited by what a writer would do. When you write a really solid universe and let people play in it, you get funny, wacky things that no writer would ever think of writing, and it makes it a lot more human and a lot more interesting, and also a lot less predictable. Which is someone like me who's watched, I don't even want to guess, I'm going to guesstimate tens of thousands of hours of stories across TV, film, and everything. Stuff not being predictable by me is difficult. So stuff like Vox Machina, D20, which is so unpredictable because of the human element baked into the storytelling itself, it makes it a lot more appealing.
Yeah. But yeah, that was everything from San Diego Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con 2024.
And only a couple weeks till D23.
Yeah. So make sure you like, subscribe, and send us all your money so that me and Hori can be there reporting on it live next year.
Yes, please.
1 year we'll be out there. And we'll be the
we'll
idiots
start a
tweeting.
Discord, and we promise that we will definitely not leak any of the footage shown at San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, Nerd News Network time.
Yes.
Ironically, we're not leaving San Diego Comic-Con alone, but this is San Diego Comic-Con adjacent.
Yes.
The Hollywood Reporter has reported that as a part of an undercover human trafficking sting operation at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, 14 people were arrested and 10 victims were recovered, with one of the victims being a 16-year-old female. I don't know if that's the youngest, like the reason that victim's been singled out is because they're like the youngest or what, but my god, that's crazy. Stay safe out there at conventions, folks. Yeah, it's a lot of like-minded people and hopefully you will be safe, but unfortunately, creeps and predators do walk among us and they can be fucking anywhere.
Yeah, I saw a thing that like apparently this is actually commonly how they will do this stuff, is they will target big conventions because there's a huge gathering of people. I don't
huge
know
gathering
if it's
of people, lots of costumes, difficult to remember what people look like.
I don't know if it was mentioned that this happened, like this stuff happened inside, or if it was just in during that weekend in the around areas.
Yeah.
Because obviously in hotels and stuff, it's like, yeah, if you're meeting someone at a convention and you're going to then go do stuff outside of the convention with this person you just met, just be careful and maybe tell someone where you're going.
Yeah, I am the last person to be preaching about safety online. I am the worst ever. I've met a lot of my friends through online where I haven't been particularly following the safety protocols. I met my partner of 10 years online when I didn't really know who they were, and no one knew I was going to meet them that day. As someone who's taken them risks and come out the other side, they were dumb fucking risks. Be careful when meeting people off the internet, please.
Yeah.
People has released exclusive photos of Skeleton Crew.
The
vibe of this show has changed, but I'm not against it.
Yes,
I didn't realize it was so many young actors and stuff, and like a little elephant dude, and I'm in love. It looks awesome.
So I knew there was a bunch of young actors because it's meant to be like someone leading a bunch of youngsters. I didn't quite know.
You were thinking like late teens, not children.
Yeah. Obviously, I mentioned we'd hoped for some Star Wars stuff from San Diego Comic-Con, but we didn't really get anything. I think we got like some stuff on the action figure side and stuff. Apparently, they're going to announce a lot of Star Wars stuff at D23, so we'll have to keep
a lot more TV focused stuff.
And so I think we'll get to maybe see some Skeleton Crew stuff like that, hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, so you've got the little elephant-looking dude. I don't know that race. Called Neil. I'm even more excited for the show now because it's a bit different to what I was expecting, and I think we're going to have like a bit of a Rebels vibe to it.
Possibly. I think it could be a case of a bunch of misfit kids trying to safely get away from the Empire.
I'm going to say it now to that particular very large content creator, dickhead scumbag.
Oh.
If you are horrible about this show with all of them young actors who are going to be trying their absolute best and are probably going to kill it because they don't do what you want Star Wars to be, we're going to have fucking issues.
Yeah, don't give us another Hayden Christensen issue.
Yeah, and
the young one out of...
Jake Johnson, or whatever his name was. We don't need it. Treat these kids with respect. And if you don't like the show after the first episode,
stop watching.
It wasn't for me, and stop fucking watching it. I'm sick of toxic fucks in every single community.
Yeah.
Good news. Superman has wrapped filming.
A film that's also coming out the same year that Fantastic Four is, which has only just started.
The same week as Fantastic Four. It's a little bit scary when you consider that Superman's wrapped filming now and Fantastic Four's literally only just started. It's a little bit scary.
Something we didn't mention in our San Diego Comic-Con section with Marvel and MCU, they didn't do a slate. That was one disappointment that I had. They didn't do a slate, which means, to be fair, they didn't give us any updated timelines, so we don't actually know if Fantastic Four is still coming out at the same time.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. But we'll see what happens.
I think it gets pushed back, as it'd be wild if it wasn't.
But Superman has finished filming. I'm very excited for this film to come out. All of the leaks that have come out have got me more excited. I've got a feeling we could be feasting over at DC in the not too distant future.
Agreed.
Side bit of news, because we were talking about it literally last week. There will be no more Mario and Sonic Olympic games. The Olympics have cancelled the partnership in favour of esports and NFTs. Give me my fucking Mario and Sonic games back right fucking now.
Well, here's the thing. They'll just be Mario and Sonic. Like, maybe, watch it, they'll partner with the Commonwealth Games or something. But they'll be still the same game, it just won't be named Olympic, and it'll just be a sports game.
And the thing I don't understand is they've cancelled the partnership, they're limited in their amount of partnerships they can give out. The fucking Olympics, give out as many as you want. What are we doing?
The esports stuff.
How many people our age care more about the Olympics because of online Mario and Sonic games?
True. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the Olympic esports stuff.
For sure.
We'll wait and see.
Charlie Cox apparently let slip that Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is due to start filming soon. Ironically, I don't have it in here with me. I did tweet this out. While we were in Cardiff, there was a Forbidden Planet shop. Not even 500 foot from our bedroom. It was great. I went in there and I found Frank Miller's Daredevil Man Without Fear miniseries, which was a very fun find, and also Daredevil Born Again. So I've got both of them now, so I'll be able to read them.
Nice.
And catch up on the kind of inspiring media for Daredevil Born Again in time for it, which is kind of fun. Daredevil Wolverine has already crossed. Yeah, Deadpool Wolverine has already crossed 500 million at the global box office. I believe its official opening was 250 million, making it the largest R-rated opening box office ever, beating out the original Deadpool. 1 billion is very possible with how good the reception's been. Some people are predicting it could break 1 billion as early as Tuesday.
It honestly wouldn't surprise me, because I would say this is the first Marvel film since, I want to say No Way Home, where everyone's been like, holy shit, and hype, and the hype is there that people that probably haven't watched much MCU recently or haven't been as on it with going to the cinema are like, oh, I need to go to the cinema to see this. And I think there's a very good chance this could
it's going to make a lot of money. They deserve it. The film's great. All I'm going to say is everyone needs to prepare themselves, because when Twitter turns on it in 6 months' time, it's going to be vile.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the most breakneck turns ever, and we're not going to be ready for it, and you're going to get drawn into the argument. Don't let the bots and people who are just trying to tweet for money bait you into the conversation. But that is it from us this week over here. We'll be back next week with more Batman Caped Crusader, more character profiles, more nerdy news. We're getting ready for a busy back end of the year with stuff like Rings of Power coming out. So make sure you get subscribed and notified so you don't miss any of that. And we'll see you next time.
See you next week.